Hey, this is Ariel Cohen with the Global Take. And today I want to focus on really historic event that just happened here in Washington, D.C. The second impeachment and the conclusion of the trial in the Senate of the former President Donald Trump. This is unprecedented. Out of 4 Senate trials, Trump was subjected to 2. So he got 50% of the impeachment trials. And as we know, in the US history, no president was subject to conviction in the Senate. That means that President Trump may run again in 2024 if he is capable of doing that physically, if he is not convicted in criminal prosecutions, etc. But it has a lot of repercussions for the Republicans, for the US politics, for the Democrats, and for the United States in general. First, Trump remains a power to reckon with in the Republican Party. He already made it clear that he supports congressional candidates or senatorial candidates that are running in the 2020 elections. He can raise funds for them. He can endorse for those who need such an endorsement. And he is polarizing the Republican Party. We saw the 7 senators who voted to convict. We saw a number of members of the House of Representatives who voted to impeach Republicans. And Mitch McConnell, the now minority leader of the Republicans in the Senate, was pretty harsh in condemnation of Trump's role disputing the outcome of the elections. He was very harsh and condemnatory after the events of January 6th. He understands that the lives of the senators and Vice President Pence were at stake on that day. But he said on technicality, because his interpretation of the Constitution is that the Constitution does not allow to impeach someone who is not occupying the position. So if it's an ex-president or let's say, Secretary of State like Hillary Clinton, the Congress will not impeach, says Mitch McConnell. Of course, the Democrats had a different position in that. And for the Democrats, my question that I don't have an answer is, why did they bother to go for an impeachment when they knew that the Senate is not going to impeach, that they will not mobilize the Republican necessary votes? Once McConnell tried, he found only 13 Republican senators that were ready. And in the end, it was only 7. And then he said, I'm not going to vote myself for the sake of the unity of the party, but also because everyone in politics is looking towards the next elections. And in the next elections in 2022, the Republican base, according to the polls, is supporting 70% of the base is supporting Trump. And if these guys impeached him and purged him, he probably would have tried to go and start his new party, and the Republican base would shift to the new far-right Trump party. That raises a question: what is the Republican Party today? Is it a party, the party of Ronald Reagan, of President Bush Sr. and George W. Bush, the party that stands for free markets, equality, and is basically a center-right party? Or is it a white nationalist, America first, anti-free trade party? That's a real question that we still don't have an answer. And I think the next several years will be a fight within the Republican Party, just like there is a fight between the far left and the moderate left in the Democratic Party. That raises a question of the future of American politics. It's not written in the Constitution that we only need to have 2 parties. We may have more. We had parties that fell apart, like the Whigs, and the Whigs gave birth to the Know Nothing Party. And some commentators compared some of the far right supporters of Donald Trump with Know Nothings. I do not have an opinion of that. But what I would caution the Republicans that if the party falls apart and splinters, it would, of course, give the Democrats a field day. They will be happier. Nothing will make them happier than the Republican Party falling apart or the ability to depict the Republicans as the far right white supremacy party in an America where the Caucasian population is in decline and the Hispanic and other minorities are rising. Also, if we don't go back to the freedom foundations of the Republican Party, in which everybody is equal regardless of their race, everybody has a right to engage in business. Capitalism is not a dirty word. The taxes are reasonable, not confiscatory and punitive. Without that, I'm afraid the foundations of the United States will be in jeopardy, and a lot of people will not have a political home, which will be very sad, because I don't think the Democratic Party is going to champion these ideas. The other thing that is happening after this impeachment is the next generation of Republican politicians who have aspirations to run for president in 2024 may have their options more in jeopardy, narrowed options for the likes of Senator Cotton, Senator Cruz, Senator Rubio, and others, including the former governor and UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, that was very staunchly condemning the role of Donald Trump in the period after the 2020 elections. And I think personally, Nikki Haley has very serious aspirations to run for president. She would be the first Republican woman and of Indian background who would have a shot at presidency if she wins the primaries, of course. And the other important thing for me as a foreign policy analyst is how the world views what's going on here. I think people in China, in Russia, in Iran, in North Korea are only excited about the serious internal political trouble that we have in this country. They believe it, I think correctly, that it weakens us. And as long as we don't sort of recover our bearings, as long as we don't go back to the roots of American politics, and for that matter, any other politics that is based on the morality, on honor, on honesty, on freedom, that doesn't brand people based on their race or their roots. Without that, we will continue to be mired in this incessant fighting that is continuing as we speak in Congress, in the media, in the universities, where Americans pointing fingers at each other just because of who they are. That is undermining our success story. This is undermining what Ronald Reagan was calling the shining city on the hill. When I travel around the world, and I hope with the COVID vaccination, I'll be traveling soon again. When I read about the repression of the likes of Alexei Navalny and his supporters, his hundreds of supporters in Russia, when I see persecution of Uyghurs, Tibetans, and others in China, when I see people being hanged in Iran because of their religion, because of their political opposition or sexual orientation or even adultery. They're being killed in Iran, stoned, hung, hanged, etc. I want to remind fellow Americans how good we have here. We do have freedom. We do have business opportunities. It is a great country. Let's not forget about it. Let's not bury ourselves in this internal political infighting that, in the end of the day, makes our all lives miserable and weakens our wonderful country. This was the Global Take. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and be here with us again in the future.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to get more content like this.